Welcome to Stadium Bets here on Stadium, everybody. We got Colby over there in the corner. We got Nate. I'm Ben. And Monty is running the sticks. Boys, we got 3 more NFL games in the entire season of the NFL this year. We're kind of hot. Some of us are cold. I'm particularly cold. But we're excited. We got conference games coming up. Conference championships, Nate.
Yeah, usually the divisional round, I think I mentioned last week's the best football weekend of the year just because you have 4 really good games. But last week felt a little different. There was some, big point spreads. It ended up being 2 amazing games to end on Saturday and end on Sunday, of course, with the Chiefs winning in Buffalo. But these 2 games, I really am looking forward to it because it's matchups we haven't seen really recently, or at least this season. So there's a lot of, unpredictability, but also a lot of storylines no matter what the Super Bowl matchup is out of the 4. It's going to be a very intriguing Super Bowl no matter what. So really excited to watch these games. I actually might even say from a football watching standpoint, this Sunday is better than the Super Bowl just because you have 2 games instead of 1, and then you only have a week of thinking about it instead of 2. And sometimes when it comes to the Super Bowl, I get a little bit exhausted and fatigued and just let's get this game going because I can't think about a football game for 13 days.
We don't have Usher at halftime, though. That's, I guess, the only difference between the
what are we going to do?
Game. I don't know. We'll have to eat more food during halftime. But, Colby, you've been
Stop.
I hate to admit it, but you've been hot. You've been hot. No, you've been hot, though.
I mean, I do dress pretty well.
Yeah. But you've done a good job. Yeah, I just want to point that out.
Appreciate it.
I pointed out last week too. You were fine.
I'm the kind of gambler that doesn't like to talk about when I'm hot, but we can talk about when I'm bad.
That's why I'll talk about it.
When I'm bad.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's. You want to keep on, keep it hot. Let's go We'll go start with the AFC Championship game. So we'll start with the AFC Championship. Next block we have the NFC. We're going to give out some props. We haven't done a lot of props on the show, so we're pretty excited for that. Yeah, and Monty does love props, except for Iowa. They're all right. All right. So let's go to Chiefs at Ravens, guys. We got Ravens laying 3.5 at home. Total is at 45. Nate, we'll start with you. What are you looking at for this game?
Yeah, so this is definitely not my favorite bet, but in terms of a side or total for this game, if I had to pick one, it'd be under at 44.5.
Ooh.
But I do want to talk about first kind of what I'm thinking about in terms of the side for this game that kind of reopened Ravens -3 and has gotten slowly bet out a little bit, which not surprising because the Chiefs did play well in Buffalo. But I think because it was a close game and the Bills missed a field goal that could have prevented overtime, I think there might be a little bit of doubt that the Chiefs can go to Baltimore with a short week of rest or less prep because the Ravens played on Saturday over 24 hours after before the Chiefs did, and then Mahomes back on the road if they could win this game. And I totally understand that. If I had to make a line for this game, it'd be closer to Ravens -4, -4.5 when you factor in the situation. However, I don't want to step in front of Patrick Mahomes as an underdog because last week he was very good. But then I'll say this, and the reason I like the under was the Chiefs offense good because they are, found something that we haven't seen the regular season, or was the Bills back 7 really banged up and tired? I think it's more of the latter, and that's why I kind of like the under. I think the Chiefs offense doesn't find the success that they did against the Bills defense because the Ravens have a fresh defense and they're a very well-coached defense with Mike McDonald as their DC, who's going to be a head coach and probably next season. So in that case, I just going to go under because I do like the Chiefs defense more than their offense, and I also don't know if the Chiefs offense can have a repeat performance even though they have the best quarterback in the world.
Yeah, I'm going to take that under and just apply it to the Chiefs and do everything kind of like you said. I don't know if the Chiefs can score over 20 points. I'll have under 20.5 for their team total as my bet for this game. And we talked about it. The Bills defense was not good to say the least. It was a bunch of guys off the street, second and third stringers. It was pretty easy for the Chiefs to move the ball on them. Now they play the best defense in the NFL, and arguably the Ravens give up 17 points per game at home, best in the NFL in that stat. They didn't allow a defensive touchdown against the Texans. They allowed a kick return touchdown, but if they didn't allow that, they would have allowed 3 points in a playoff game, which is really impressive for this type of defense. I trust the Ravens defense completely against this Patrick Mahomes team, and I've talked about how I don't trust the Chiefs that much, especially offensively with drop catches, and they just seem like they've taken a step back this year. So I think we see a little bit of that regression now that they play a really good defense against the Ravens. So I will happily take their team total under 20.5. Colby, we'll go to you. What do you like?
Boys, what's the best kind of bet?
One that you win.
Outside of that, it's one where you're the most uncomfortable with about. in my opinion.
Is
yeah.
it? Okay. You like being
And
uncomfortable.
I agree with
I'm
that.
beyond
Interesting.
uncomfortable with this play. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Wow.
And there's not much for me to say why, except
Plus
for
3.5.
I think the number's low. I think it's a little low based on how good the Ravens are. The Ravens are going to be the best defense the Chiefs have seen in quite some time. And everything points Ravens, and that's why I am taking the dog.
You sound so uncomfortable right now.
I'm
This is
squeezing
just
my
making
hands
you
together
physically
at the moment.
uncomfortable.
It's a very uncomfortable play. I can't doubt Patrick Mahomes, no matter what the spread is or what the doubters are saying. I think he's the greatest thing that ever happened to the sport, and
Wow.
I have to take
I mean,
the
Mahomes
Chiefs.
is a dog. It's tough to bet against Mahomes as a dog. You
And
both
when in
said
doubt,
it.
and when
It's
in doubt,
hard.
you don't know what to do. Take the dog. Like what's
Yeah, I mean, the
get it
thing
if
is,
it's
everyone was
it'll
worried about.
probably go up to 4.5. 4.5 is the perfect number.
Yeah, and everyone said Mahomes on the road in a playoff game. How is he going to do? And he went to Buffalo, a very tough environment. I know it was against the bad defense, but he performed really well. So he answered a lot of those questions that people had about playoff game on the road. Baltimore's a different story though with the defense.
Yeah,
as we talked about.
The only concern.
I
It's
mean,
tough.
I don't blame you if you like the Chiefs, just because you're getting Mahomes over a field goal on the road, and at the same time, there's still some questions. The Ravens might be the best team in the NFL. I'd say that along with the 49ers, but they're definitely not like perfect teams. There's definitely flaws in them. And, the Chiefs have a very good coaching staff themselves who can match up well against the Ravens coaching staff, maybe others than your boy Matt Nagy. But
just don't get cute, dude.
I would just say, like, you have
we bleep
Mahomes.
that out?
Mahomes is an underdog, and I think you liked him. Like,
I liked him for half a season.
you complimented
full.
him like a few weeks ago.
Did I?
I feel like
Let's
you did.
I must have blacked out. While
Word
doing
to
that. I
Matt
don't remember
Nagy.
that.
Let's not get
I
cute this weekend.
apologize.
Let's just get the job done.
Yeah, if you heard that coming from me, I'm sorry.
Anyway, I don't blame you for liking the
Thank
Chiefs because it is Mahomes getting over a field goal. And I do see this line going
It's gross.
to 4, though,
it's
just based
disgusting.
on, as we record on a Wednesday, there is even some Ravens -4 out there. So it seems like the sharp side is on the Ravens at home, the more rested team who kind of had a light sweat last week against the Texans, let's say that.
So we have some props that we wanted to get to before the end of this segment here. This is one of the first, I think, in Stadium Bets history, a whole prop segment. So if you love props, this is the place to be.
Yeah.
We will start with Colby. You have a prop in the AFC title game. What
Get
do you
ready
like?
to laugh, boys.
Yeah, what do you
Lamar
like?
Jackson over rush yards. And
Wow.
I think my
Who would've
argument
thought?
should just end after I just say this. Josh Allen last week had 72 yards on the ground against the Chiefs. And we can all admit, excuse me, that Lamar is a significantly more agile and better runner than Josh Allen. Last week, Lamar Jackson also had 100 on the ground against the Texans. The Chiefs are going to have some issues with the run game and with him doing whatever he wants to do on the field.
Yeah.
I like this prop
Not
a lot.
Not a bad bet. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes over a half of an interception. I think he throws a
jerk.
pick. Yeah, the Ravens average 1 interception a game defensively. Mahomes on the road this season, he's thrown 2 picks, double-digit picks in 3 out of 7 road games this season. He has an interception percentage of 2.6% on the road, which is good for 11th in the NFL. He hasn't thrown an interception in 3 weeks, and I hate to say, he's due because you never bet on something because you think it's due. But
Unless it's
with
baseball.
the way this game script is going to be coming out, I think the Ravens are going to have the lead for most of this game. More passes means more chances for an interception from Mahomes. And at -120, I'll take over an interception for Patrick Mahomes. Nate?
My prop in this game is Lamar Jackson under passing yards. And I was kind of debating between passing yards or passing attempts. For this segment, I'm going to go
a
yards.
low number.
211.5. But I think it's correlated to your bet, Colby, where you think he's going to run a lot. You think that the Ravens are going to kind of do what the Bills did against the Chiefs, where it's a lot of quarterback runs, a lot of running back runs, and you just don't want to throw against the Chiefs unless you have to, like if you're down in the game, like kind of like how the Bills were. But L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, really good cornerbacks. The Ravens do have solid wide receivers, but they don't have like a number one alpha kind of guy who could, win that matchup against those guys. So I think it's just kind of also a game script thing where I think the Ravens are going to win if they're playing with the lead and in a positive game script. Then I think they're going to run the ball more, and it's going to be less passing yards for Lamar Jackson. So if you're an SGP player, I think you could definitely go Lamar under in terms of passing stats. I'll say passing yards, but over his rushing yards. I think those correlate pretty well. I would be a little bit afraid just so, I'd be afraid if I was the Ravens to wanting to throw against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs' run defense is a lot weaker than their pass defense. So I like anything Lamar passing under related on Sunday.
Cool. We've got the NFC game coming up next. Lions and Niners. We go out west. That's coming up next on Stadium Bets. Welcome back to Stadium Bets. We just talked AFC title game odds in our picks. Now we got the NFC, boys. We go out west. Lions at the 49ers, with the 49ers a decently heavy favorite for a game like this. Laying 7 points. 51 is the total, a high total as well. Let's just get into it. Colby, picks for the game.
I like the Niners a lot.
Ooh.
I think it's hilarious that the public is loving the Lions. But I get it. They struggled a little bit against the Packers. They probably just thought they would be able to coast, and they kind of weren't able to. But even with Debo being questionable, and Nate just told me before the break, or in the middle of the break, that Jerry Rice is making Debo play, and
we have our sources.
Just expecting him to play.
That source is Twitter.
Basically, that's him saying you're playing. Even if he didn't play, I still like the 49ers here. They're the all-around complete team. I'm expecting Dan Campbell, Monty's father, to make a mistake in this game by being too aggressive. Maybe nibbles off too many kneecaps, and
He said it last week.
Screws himself. I like the 49ers.
I'm with you. I think the Niners are the right move on this side. I think we got them early in the week, all of us 6.5, but I'll take them at 7. The Niners are just dominant. They're just an amazingly dominant team. We talked about how good the Ravens are. The Niners are pretty much the same. They got a really good defense. I know Brock Purdy, people said he struggled and he didn't look great in the divisional game, but he's still a decent quarterback and good enough to lead a team like this against a defense for the Lions that, quite frankly, isn't very good. So I trust the Niners to move the ball. I trust the Niners to score a lot. Their defense is the 6th best defense over the last 3 games. They're 3rd in opponents' yards per completion. They just stop teams offensively.
They are them.
We know the Lions, they are them. And the Lions have been a pretty big juggernaut offensively. I think that ends on the road, outside, against a good defense. This might be the end of Dan Campbell and company. Nate.
Ooh.
Yeah. I do think the Niners are at a discount here. If you just kind of think about last week's point spread involving the Packers and 49ers, that closed 49ers minus 10. And now they're only laying 7 against the Lions. And if it was Lions-Packers NFC title game, I think the line would have been Lions minus 3. So not much separates the Packers and Lions. So it does feel like San Francisco is at a discount here, and this lines are really, really short. You mentioned some concerns maybe with Brock Purdy, but it was a bad weather game. You lose your star on the first drive of the game in Debo. He still, made enough plays to lead the comeback, and that's all that matters. I see a good bounce back spot for San Francisco here, and their offense playing in a clean weather game against a Lions defense I don't think very high of. Also, just don't trust the Lions away from home. You had those 2 really emotional victories, but they were at home against a Rams team, which they were pretty fortunate to win, and then a Bucs team that I don't think highly of. So going on the road to San Francisco in a game like this, totally different situation for Detroit. And I know that, you said something about Dan Campbell and his aggressiveness. I think he actually needs to be aggressive in this game if they have a shot of winning. So I think it could be good aggressiveness, but if it doesn't work out, then there's the opportunity for the Niners to really win this game big. So I think there's a lot of variance in this game, and I can see a Niners blowout here, and that's what I'm siding
his
with.
aggressiveness again pretty soon, so prepare to bring that back up.
Before we do props, quickly, none of us liked a total play. Do you have a lean? You thinking anything? 51's pretty high.
I would lean over in this game, but I do want to make sure Debo is playing, and that's what
Jerry said he was. So
expected.
Jerry Rice. So in terms of betting this game, I think if you like the Niners, I would actually wait to see if Debo's playing, because if he has a setback and doesn't play, maybe this line dips below 7 and maybe below the key number of 51 in terms of the total market, maybe 50.5 or 50. If you do like lines, I guess maybe you just take the 7 now and just kind of free roll it.
All right, let's get into props for the NFC title game. We had some good ones in the AFC. Nate, we'll go right back to you for your favorite prop for this game.
Yeah, so I'm going to go on the Lions side and play an under on David Montgomery rushing yards.
Wow.
Part of this is game script. I think mostly game script related, where I do believe that the Lions will be trailing in this game. It'll be a lot of Jared Goff throws. Or if they do run the ball, it'll be to Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a little bit more of a dynamic rusher instead of the between the tackles type. And also they drafted Gibbs 12th overall in the draft, so I feel like in the playoffs, that's the time to use him I know Montgomery was kind of a high-priced free agent signing for Detroit, but he's more of a goal line guy. And then you look at last week, I know Aaron Jones rushed for 108 yards against the 49ers on 18 carries, but the game was in a neutral state. And also Jones had 53 of those yards on a fourth quarter run. So before that really long run that Jones broke in the fourth quarter, I thought the Niners' rush defense was actually doing a pretty good job stopping him or containing him. So I could see in this case with, shutting down Montgomery a little bit, who's not as good of a runner as Jones, plus the Lions leaning more on Gibbs, plus the idea of the Lions being down in this game and either throwing or just not running between the tackles. I feel like David Montgomery is not going to put a lot of counting stats up on the board on Sunday evening.
Minus in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not a math guy. I'm going to go Jared Goff to have more passing yards than Brock Purdy. I'm questioning a little bit, but I like the fact that the odds are plus 150 on this. The fact that you can get plus money and up to plus 150, I think, and we talk about game script, I think the Lions are just going to have to throw more in this game simply because the Niners are either going to run their defense in a submission or they're going to get an early lead and just start pounding on the points early in the first half. And then if they do that, you're going to see the Niners run a lot in the second half, or at least run a lot more in the game because they have the lead, which takes yards away from Purdy. And Goff is just going to be passing it the whole game. So I love this, and the fact that it's plus money makes me love it even more. Goff also has averaged more yards per game than Purdy has this season. Everything's pointing toward Goff having more passing yards, so plus 150, I'm all over that. Colby, what do you like?
Are we ready for this?
I don't know. I'm scared.
We're taking the Lions kicker.
Oh,
Mr. Badgley. Over 1.5 field goals
you see
made.
what happened with kickers last week?
And it makes no sense. I know. You're going to say, well, Campbell goes for it on fourth down all the time. I picture the game script to go like this. If they can get one field goal off the bat in the first quarter or the first two drives, one in between there somewhere.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way.
The first drive.
Yeah, put up a crooked number somewhere.
Get a 3 going right there.
They could definitely get one scripted drive.
Somewhere along the lines, there will be another one in there for another opportunity, and it's plus money. I liked it a lot.
Maybe
plus 150.
Michael Badgley from 56 down the first half.
Yeah,
there we go. That's 2 right there.
Does he have the lag on natural grass
drive and the half? Come on.
That's a win.
It's a first half. Who needs 4 quarters? Come on. Not Badgley. Come on.
You see all these kickers missing, and then you go for the team that goes for it on fourth down always.
It grabbed me.
2-point conversions.
It grabbed me, and I liked it. I know it makes no sense, but I like it.
I'm excited to post this clip when this wins. It's going to be an amazing celebration. We have our best bets, and we have some conference championship specials bets, some unique bets that we're going to get to, all coming up next on Stadium Bets. Welcome back, Stadium Bets, here on Stadium. Wrapping up the show, we have our best bets. But first, gentlemen, we wanted to get into some conference championship specials that they've got available on MGM. There's a lot of fun bets that we can make. Lowest scoring, highest scoring, most rushing yards, things like that. So, Nate, we'll start with you. When you look through some of these specials, what did you like?
Yeah, so I'm going to the most rushing yards for the round, or the day, I guess it is, on Sunday. Lamar Jackson, plus 450, most rushing yards. I kind of want to oppose Christian McCaffrey in this market just because McCaffrey is also a dynamic player in the receiving game, and the Lions are actually pretty good against the run, so I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers throw a lot of short passes to McCaffrey and not as much running to him. And then Lamar, last week, 100 yards rushing against the Texans in a game that they had the lead, so he's a willing runner even though they were comfortably winning. And then having the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, he's going to be willing to run in this game. I mentioned I like his under on passing props because the Chiefs have a really good pass defense. And then I'm not really worried about a Ravens running back because Gus Edwards and Justice Hill split carries last week. So maybe they use a little bit more Gus Edwards if they aren't up a lot because Edwards has been a little bit of a better runner this year, the guy they trust a little bit more. But I do believe at the price, Lamar Jackson plus 450 is the best bet in terms of conference championship specials for me.
I'm going to go the lowest scoring team to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm already betting their team total under 20.5. You get plus 150 on it. Lions are probably going to score more than that. I could see them scoring a decent amount with a 49ers team, maybe a bit of a shootout. The total's 51, so they're expecting a lot. Niners, of course, are going to score a lot. And the Ravens, I think, are going to score a lot, which leaves me to think the Chiefs are going to be the lowest scoring team of the weekend. And at plus money, I'm happy to take it. Colby?
I'm gonna be with Nate. I like it a lot. I think there's only
You're doing the same one.
Same one. There's
Wow.
only a couple really true running back number ones in these 2 games. A lot of running back by committee, and with Lamar Jackson being the elite runner that he is, it makes the most sense to take him with the most rush yards.
I like it. Wow. So you guys are really relying on
Yeah,
on Lamar
also-
there.
Josh Allen had 72 yards against the Chiefs last
true.
week,
That's
so I
true.
think the Ravens are going to kind of employ the
Really,
same
I only
game
have to worry
plan.
about Pacheco and CMC.
lot of-
If you think about it.
All right, let's do best bets. Best bets for the weekend, for Sunday. Boys, we have an interesting list because it looks like it's all the same bets. Colby, we'll start with you. There's no way this can come back to haunt
We're all
us.
on the 49ers?
Yeah, it looks like we're all on the
come
49ers.
on. The most complete team in the NFL. Going up against a team that really isn't used to being where they're at right now. 49ers. Come on, I already talked about it.
There's nothing more to say for the 49ers.
You know, we talked about this on the game preview, so make sure to check it out. But before last week, I would have made this game 49ers -9.
Yeah.
So obviously you can downgrade the
Really?
49ers because they didn't look, very good against the Packers and got away with one. And then you also, if Deebo Samuel doesn't play, downgrade him a little more. I think you can upgrade the Lions a little bit just because their offense has been all right in these 2 games. So I don't know. The number says 49ers, kind of the situation where the 49ers maybe got their worst performance out of the way and they survived and advanced and now have a matchup against the Lions defense where they have a lot of advantages in terms of when the 49ers have the ball. So in a game with clean weather, I expect the 49ers to score, and I could see the Lions on the road, a place where they haven't been as good as the friendly confines of Ford Field.
Yeah.
Kind of struggle in this game, and the 49ers to cover this. I really do think there's a discount. If you want to wait, I would maybe wait and see if Deebo Samuel is out and maybe grab a 6.5. But for grading purposes, 49ers 7 best bet.
And I think the other thing too that I wanted to mention, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this, but the rust that I think the 49ers had after the bye last week, that's going to be gone because it's like a normal week for them now. They played last week. They're ready to go. They looked a little bit slow out of the gate last week. I don't think we're going to get that this week. So it's going to be exciting. You can follow all of our bets at Stadium Bets on Twitter. Follow Colby for weird tweets and follow me for my replies to Colby's weird tweets. But until then, we will see you all next week.